Today, we discuss Miro. Listen, when it comes to running client workshops, the dream, of course, is to get those creative juices flowing, right? But typically what ends up happening is thousands of hours get wasted because of poorly facilitated meetings. So I have Maya with me today. She's a consultant who runs Fortune 100 workshops, from leadership training to team building, and she has the insider tip on what makes things work. Maya?
Thank you, Jason. I've been doing this a long time. My number one tip is to bring everyone into that visual collaboration platform. So personally, I use Miro, and it's completely changed how I interact with the room. You have to give people a way to feel like they're in the room even when they're not. That's something you can do easily in Miro. Otherwise, they've seen the same slides and format 1,000 times.
Falling asleep, eyes glazing over, yawns, all that.
Exactly. When people follow me on the Miro board, everyone is literally going on a journey with me. We're adding thoughts, we're reacting, and we're voting for the best ideas. It's great.
Connective magic. I like it. That's MIRO.com.
This year, set a self-improvement goal, like socially dominating your friends with your superior streaming knowledge. Catch up on the hits you missed with Prime Video, from Reacher to Taylor Swift The Eras Tour extended version and The Hunger Games, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Watch everything included on Prime. Rent or buy new releases. Add on hundreds of streamers. One app, one password. Prime Video. Find your happy place. Restrictions apply. Prime membership not required to rent or buy. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
Hello and welcome to a new podcast, The Paddock and the Pavilion with Stephen Wallace. In each show, Stephen will interview someone connected to the world of horse racing or cricket.
Hello and welcome to The Paddock and the Pavilion. For this extra show, a special podcast for a special cause, to save our stables at Park Lane Stables in southwest London. Our guest today is Natalie O'Rourke, the manager of Park Lane Stables, who is driving a campaign to raise £1 million via crowdfunding by the 25th of February. Natalie has only recently been informed by her landlord that their lease will not be renewed, and unless they can raise £1 million, the riding school will close. Already, Natalie and her team have raised just over $185,000. As you will hear on the podcast, Park Lane Stables is a vital part of the local community, an inner city community where it is rare to see a horse. Park Lane Stables RDA, Riding for the Disabled, is a riding school charity that provides therapy and riding lessons for people with or without disabilities in London. Please listen to the podcast and consider supporting this very worthy cause. However small your donation, it could really make a difference to so many people. Enjoy today's podcast with Natalie and a few special guests. And don't forget to tell as many friends as you can. Hello, Natalie. Welcome to the Paddock and the Pavilion.
Hi, Stephen. Thank you for inviting me on.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. It's not the first time I've seen you today, because earlier today I saw you on Luck on Sunday with on Racing TV with Nick Luck. So this is a bit low key compared to that.
Yeah, Nick Luck has been so good to us. He's really getting behind our campaign and is really championing our cause. So we're so grateful to him for highlighting our plight.
Well, he's a good man to get involved with all his contacts and his knowledge about racing. So before we talk more about Park Lane Stables in detail, can you let listeners know, as at Sunday the 24th of January, where you are with the campaign?
Yeah, so I'm really pleased to say that we've actually just tipped over 180,000. So
wow.
That's pretty amazing. You know, it's the 24th today and we started on New Year's Eve. So we're absolutely thrilled to bits that we're over 18%. But we absolutely have to push forward and keep moving on and up to get to the goal. So there's a bit of a long way to go yet.
And what's the deadline date?
So the deadline date for the crowdfunder is the 25th of February, and that was set by crowdfunder, not by ourselves, because the longest date that you can have for a crowdfunding campaign is 8 weeks. So there's a possibility of us having an extension, but we'd have to discuss that with them nearer the end date.
Right, okay. I love the background noise. It really shows that we're recording from a stables here. So
sorry, yeah, they're sneezing now. They've had their dinner now.
I don't know who we got in the background. There was 3 greys on the television this morning. So
Yeah, well, they're here, yeah. There's 10 of them in here. I'm surrounded by them.
Well, you are at a stable, so to start with, I was going to ask you about yourself. How did you first get involved in horses?
Well, I'm not from a horsey background, which is probably why I'm really passionate about introducing children that have not got access to horses. So I'm from Birmingham originally, which you can probably hear in my voice because I've never lost my accent. But I'm proud to be from Birmingham. And I went on a pony at a school fete when I was very little. And then my dad took me riding, and I used to ride at this animal rescue centre in the Midlands. And my dad thought I would grow out of it, out of horses. I mean, like young girls do, but I didn't. And I just never got it out of my system. So my dad told me I had to get a proper job, which I did. And I went to Sheffield University, and I used to be a dental hygienist, and I once got fired from a dentist for talking about horses. At which point I thought maybe this is not the life for me. So I did horses half the week and teeth half the week to supplement the money, and then I bit the bullet about 15 years ago and just said to my poor dad, "That's it, Dad. I've done the proper job, but I'm giving it up and going to the horses." And I've never looked back. So I ride past the dentist in the town here, and I always look in the window and think, I'm glad I'm not in there.
Yeah. It's a bit of a change. How old then were you when you first rode a pony then?
When I first rode a pony, I must have been about 6, yeah.
Right.
And like I say, no one in my family has anything to do with horses. And still now, my dad wouldn't know one end of a horse from another. So they don't know where I got it from, but it's just in my heart, really. You know, horses are in my heart, and I can't seem to function without them.
And how did you first get involved with Park Lane Stables then?
So I was working in Birmingham at a riding school there, and I always wanted to have my own riding school because I wanted to do it my way, and I wanted to put the horses first. So a job was advertised in the Horse and Hound down here in London, and I'd never been down here before, and I applied for the job, and I really, really wanted it. Anyway, I got the job, and then to cut a long story short, it wasn't really a job, and then they just said to me, if you want to open this riding school, you're going to have to do it yourself. But I'd already moved my life from Birmingham at that point, so I just bit the bullet and just opened it myself. So I had a couple of geriatric ponies and started it off like that. It was very small, very low key. There was literally just me, and it just snowballed into this really big riding centre.
And how many years ago was that?
That was 12 years ago.
12 years ago, right.
Yeah, so we've now got 23 horses and ponies, and we do riding, carriage driving, we do hippotherapy, we do pony club, RDA. We do a bit of everything, really. We take ponies into care homes, hospitals. So I've always been passionate about the horses being here for everyone, and we pride ourselves on being the friendliest stables in London, because riding centres can be quite unfriendly at times, slightly intimidating. So from the outset, I always wanted it to be that everybody was welcome, and I'm sure we've managed to achieve that. Yeah,
well, so complete career change from possibly being a dentist, isn't it?
But I did listen to my dad, so I did what I was told and earned some money for a little while.
But let's just focus again on the stables. You've just told us quite a few things about what the stables do, but where exactly are you based?
So we're in southwest London, in Teddington. So the closest places that people would know is Twickenham Rugby Stadium. Everybody knows where that is.
Yeah.
So we're in between Twickenham Rugby Stadium and Hampton Court Palace, if you can imagine that. So we're in a little town in between those two. So we're in a very, very urban location. We're actually in the middle of a residential area. So the stables is hundreds of years old, and what's happened is over the years, all the farmland and grassland around us has been built on, and the stables has managed to stay here. So it's a really unusual location. Like if people look it up on Google Earth or the Street View, they'll probably be quite surprised.
Because I read it at one point back in the 1830s. It was the home of Teddington Fire Station, where they had horses with the fire engines. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, so its first job was a horse-drawn fire station, and it's always had horses in here over the years. I believe it was a dairy at one time, and then various people have had it as a riding school over the years. So yeah, it's got a long history, but always involving horses.
And how many staff and volunteers work there?
We have an army of volunteers, so we have over 150 volunteers that come at all different times to give they might give an hour a week, say, or some people obviously give a lot more than that. And then we have a small team of staff, and most of our team have additional needs. So we pride ourselves on having a can-do attitude. So we like I said, everybody's welcome here, and that's why in our team we have a young lady who's registered blind, somebody with autism, somebody else with epilepsy. So one of our main concerns if we lose our sight is that these people will have to seek employment. And obviously, as we know, at the moment in the pandemic, it's really hard for people to get work. So if you've got additional needs and you're trained and securing a job, to lose your job and get another job is going to be really, really hard for them.
Now, you've detailed quite a few of the activities that go on at the stables. What's the age range of the children?
Well, we do a thing called mini muckers, which is for tinies, so they're preschool children, and it's like a sensory experience to get them used to the horses. So a lot of children have a preconception of what horses are like from a storybook, and then when they hear a horse sneeze and they smell it for the first time, it's a bit of a surprise. So we do these mini muckers sessions where the children get involved. They'll do little jobs, or we play little games and everything. And then they'll have a little ride. So they'll be like 3-year-olds. And then we don't have an upper age limit. So everybody's welcome here. And we've had people in their 80s come in riding. So we don't turn anybody away.
And you mentioned something called hippotherapy. What's that?
Yeah, so hippotherapy is the easiest way to explain it is where the horse is used as an instrument by the physiotherapist. So it's physiotherapist led. So like I'm an RDA coach, but I would be under her direction in a hippotherapy session. So my responsibility would be to make sure that the horse was okay and the welfare of the horse, and she would be concentrating on the participant. So imagine like a young person that doesn't have any core control and can't sit up, for example. Then the physio uses the horse to work all her muscle groups, so that the horse is obviously warm and he's soft and he's moving. So the child is having quite intense physiotherapy, but not often realising that they're having therapy, if that makes sense. So we do, it's a really specialised thing, and we have 3 horses that are trained as hippotherapy ponies, because it's quite intense on the ponies, because they have to have a lot of humans around them. So for like one hippotherapy participant, you'd probably have 6 humans, because they're usually children that can't sit up at all. So you need a lot of hands-on to make the session happen. So you've got to have a certain kind of pony that doesn't mind being surrounded by people. And it's very sort of stop-starty and gentle. So, they've got to have a certain type of temperament to tolerate it, really.
And you're very key with riding for the disabled as well. I can see with your hat on at the moment.
Yeah, I've always got my RDA hat on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so in a non-COVID year, we would do 3,000 RDA sessions a year. So before the COVID hit us, we were working 6 days a week, and the first session would be at 9, and we would carry on till dark, really. So we were so busy with RDA sessions, and we have a huge waiting list. And if we do have to close, it's not as if there's anywhere for our riders and carriage drivers to go, because all the other RDA groups are full up as well. So they just wouldn't be able to do it anymore. It's not like they could just shift to the local group down the road. That's just not possible. That's why we're really concerned about losing our site, because our riders and drivers that would just be the end of the activity for them. And for a lot of our participants, our adult participants, they're really socially isolated, and the only time that they leave their care homes is to come here, because there's nothing much else that for some of them, there's not much else that they can participate in. And as I said before, like, everybody's welcome here, so we're really concerned about that if we were to go, that their world's just going to get that bit smaller, really.
Sounds like you make a real difference to the community with the activities.
Yeah, I think we do. I mean, I hope we do, and that it feels like we must have done, because now the community are like putting their arms around us and supporting us to stay here, because we felt that with the campaign, that people really do want us to stay, because the horses have touched so many people's lives. And
with you mentioned carriage driving. That's for the children who are not able to ride themselves.
Yeah. It's mainly adults, actually.
Right.
That's not intentional. It's just the way it's evolved, because what we found was a few years ago we were turning a lot of people away that couldn't mount the horses for various reasons, and that was really sad. And we just thought, we don't want to say no. We hate saying no. So what can we do? So to cut a long story short, we got ourselves a carriage horse, and a local company got a carriage for us called a Phoenix Freedom, which is a special carriage that a wheelchair goes on. And now we do carriage driving for wheelchair users. And we've been quite successful with it. I mean, we've competed at Windsor Horse Show and Chertsey Show. We've been to the RDA Nationals. So we do some sort of sensory carriage driving, which is just a sensory experience. But we also do carriage driving for those that really want to learn how to do it and compete in that area.
Because you're close to Bushy Park, I presume that's where you take the carriages.
Yes. Yeah, and it's beautiful. We're so lucky that they let us carriage drive in the Royal Park. So there's parakeets in there, which when I first moved here, I couldn't believe it. There's just hundreds of parakeets everywhere, and obviously there's deer, and it's just a really sensory experience for our participants. So it's been really successful, and there's a huge demand for that as well.
And you've got Pony Club members as well.
Yes, we've got a pony club. We've usually got about 150 pony club members. That's what our membership hovers around at. And we're a really proactive pony club centre. So we listen to the members, we listen to what they want, which is how the pony racing started. But we go all the way up from little ones right up to 25. And we have lots of our pony club members have got additional needs as well. So they do lots of competing, they do pony racing, obviously, then they do dressage, show jumping, hunter trials. So we get out and about all the time. So the ponies have a really varied life, which is what makes them happy, because if they were doing RDA all the time, they might get a little bit bored, a little bit stale. But they might be doing RDA one day, and then the next day they're going out to a pony club rally. So they're always getting variety in their life, which makes them really fit and happy.
And you've had some pony club winners as well, you were telling me.
Yeah, so we got on the podium once at the Pony Club Championships. That was very exciting. I think I shed a tear that day. And we once had a winner at Lingfield, and I was standing on top of the bank at Lingfield talking to this man, and he said, "Natalie, that's your horse out in the front," and nobody expected it to happen at all. And our horse was length in front of all the other horses. It was the biggest shock of the day. And we had a winner at Ascot as well. That was in 2019. So because our ponies have like a base fitness. So although they're not galloping all the time, they are busy working all the time. And I think that's why when we do the pony racing, we're quite successful, because they maintain a certain level of fitness all the time. So yeah, we do get some shock results at times, which is nice.
Well, there's been some quite well-known jockeys, Holly Doyle and Tom Marquand, both started off as in pony racing. So we must let them know about the campaign as well.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm definitely going to be getting in touch with them. And some of the children that have gone through our pony racing scheme, they've gone on to go to the British Racing School, and also they've gone on to get jobs in the industry as stable lads and stable girls. So it's really working, the scheme that we are feeding young people into the industry.
Well, that's another reason why the stables are so important, aren't they? Not just
Yeah,
for...
because like Holly Doyle or any rider, everybody has to start somewhere, don't they? And because of where we're situated in London, a lot of the young people that we're working with, they would never have the opportunity to have their own pony. So, you know, if we're taken away from them and that access is taken away, it just means that whole pathway is going to be shut off for so many people.
Well, I read some of the quotes about Park Lane stables, and a couple of them really hit me, where it said a bubble, which is quite an appropriate word, of happiness.
Yeah.
And another one said, run on kindness and inclusion. Everyone who is part of it is a better person for it.
Oh, that's so lovely to hear, and I'm so pleased to hear that. And we do have a can-do attitude, and we have an open door policy. Well, not in the COVID, but normally we do. So everybody's welcome. But I always say that it's the ponies that perform the magic, because, you know, young people, well, not just young people, but people come here with a lot of troubles and a lot of hardship in their life, and they might be going through something, you know, pretty horrible, and they can share their secrets with the ponies and just offload, really. And I think they always leave here feeling that bit better than when they arrived.
Yes, because I think it's well known that mentally being around horses is very therapeutic to people, especially at the moment, although obviously not open at the moment, but hopefully post lockdown, when you reopen again, because you are going to raise this money, it's great for people of all ages for their mental well-being.
Yeah, absolutely. In the first lockdown 1, started a campaign called Tiny Pony at Your Window. It actually went viral. It was quite bizarre, actually. I just thought of it as a little thing to go and visit people at their windows, and we would hold up signs from members of their family that lived in other parts of the country. And it just proved that the ponies just lifted people's spirits, just seeing them, you know, and the sound of their hooves on the streets in London. And yeah, it's them that provides the magic, not us, really.
Well, I can see from your face and the sound of your voice how much job satisfaction you get from...
I mean, I don't think you can work with horses for money. You have to do it for love, don't you? And yeah, we run it on passion, really, here. And there's so many success stories from over the years, and that's why we want to continue, so we can make so many more.
And this week you had some support from the royal family as well, with Princess Royal, who actually opened a section of the stables about 5 years ago, I think.
That's right. So 5 years ago, we did some building work, and we built a room that we affectionately call the loft lounge. Because what we found is that a lot of adults are socially isolated who have disabilities, especially those that are visually impaired. So we realised that they were coming riding, but then they would ride and leave, and we thought, oh, we need to offer a bit more than this. So we built this loft lounge so that after they've ridden, they can have an area where they can make friendships and chat and have shared problems. So the Princess Royal actually came and opened it in 2016, which was a really exciting day. And then one of our young riders wrote to her and told her what was happening here, and she actually replied, which was so kind, and it really meant the world to us that she was supporting us to stay here. And she always calls us the pavement ponies, because the stables go straight out onto the street, and she remembers us from that, because she must go to a lot of places, but this is pretty unusual, really.
Well, you've got a good backer there. She is an Olympic horseman, so...
Yeah. So, it's really good to have her support. And John Joe O'Neill actually tweeted our crowdfunder this week and pledged us some money. So that was pretty amazing as well.
Oh, it's great to see you getting the horse racing connection on board.
Yeah, so they're getting behind us, which is lovely.
So now, talking about the campaign, how can people donate?
So they just go to crowdfunder.co.uk, and it's save-our-stables, and they can make a pledge on there.
So Natalie, is there a minimum amount someone can donate?
No, absolutely not. We're grateful for anything, honestly. Just like Tesco say, every little helps. So any pledge will help us.
So on the crowdfunding page, you're not restricted to an amount, no?
No, not at all. No. Somebody put £2 the other day. And we send them a thank you, and a little girl wrote me a really lovely letter today and put her pocket money in it. So, there isn't a minimum amount. Just whatever people can manage, we'll be grateful for, and it will make a difference.
Yes.
So, whatever the amount is, it will make the difference. One of the common things that people are asking is what happens if we don't raise the money. And the answer is that the money gets returned to the people that have pledged it. So crowdfunder hold this money securely at this time. And then if we were successful, they would pass the money to us at the end. But if not, the money would get returned. But we chose to do it that way. We chose to do an all or nothing campaign because we didn't want to be taking people's money if we weren't successful. So it's just good to be clear about that so people understand.
Yeah, but you're going to raise this money, aren't you? So
yeah, absolutely. Totally.
That's the attitude. Yeah. So and there's also if they donate a certain amount of money, there's a reward.
Yeah.
Depending on what you donate, isn't there?
Yeah. So there's rewards on there. So we tried to make them COVID friendly because it's a bit tricky, isn't it, at the moment? Because we'd love to invite everybody down here, but we'd be breaking the law. So, you can have a pony positivity postcard where we'll send you a nice postcard with some positive words on. You can come and have a pony cuddle post-COVID. We've got a lovely volunteer who's an artist, and she has contributed a watercolour of people's choice that could be done from a photograph if people pledge £200. And then we've got bigger awards for people like companies that wanted to sponsor a horse or sponsor a stable, so they could have their name associated with the activities that we're doing.
And when you raise the money, it will then be a stables forever then, yeah?
Yeah, that's right. So it'll be owned by the charity, and it would be our forever home. So it would mean that we'd have security for our participants, and that this will continue forever. And then people in London will always have access to the horses. So that's why we really want to own it, so that the doubt is taken away from us. Obviously, it's a worrying time for all our vulnerable people that rely on us, and we're doing our best to reassure them. But imagine if we own it, then they've got their happy place forever, which is so important.
Because presumably, if there is nowhere else for these people to go, do the things that you offer, is there?
No, there isn't, and that's our biggest concern. And for a while, I was sort of keeping it under my hat, as it were, because I was worried about the impact on their mental health if they thought that the stables was going to go. But then it was pointed out to me that if I didn't share this problem, that I couldn't help them. But that is our biggest concern, because obviously we would be able to find homes for the horses, but it's always horses first here. But on this occasion, the humans are going to suffer the most impact if we go, because there isn't an alternative for them. There just isn't anywhere else for them to go. And for a lot of our participants, this is the only thing really that they can do, if that makes sense. There isn't a world of opportunity open to them elsewhere.
No, I think that's important, because in areas like the country, there is always another place where you could set up a stables, but where you are, there just isn't, is there? And
no, there just isn't. And if we have to go, that'll be it forever. It's not like, in 10 years the horses will move back into London. That's just not going to happen, because that as we all know, that doesn't happen in London. So if we go, then this will just become yet another house or two. And there won't be anywhere for the horses to come back to. And then the thing is, because of where we're located, people can get to us on public transport. So a lot of our adults with additional needs, they're not going to be able to drive a car, or they'd be relying on someone else to give them a lift if we were situated somewhere out in the country. But because of where we are, they can get to us on the train, they can get to us on the bus, and it's easy access, which is a really important part of the dynamic here.
Well, I can see just speaking to you this afternoon, Natalie, what fantastic work you're doing there, and how important it is to the community, the disabled, riding for the disabled, the pony club members, and for the inner city, that you do raise this £1 million. As you say, you're on about 18% at the moment, and you've got about 30 days to go or something like that to go?
Yeah, I've got about 30 days, yeah. So we need to keep the momentum up and keep positive, and we just ask people to, if they can't pledge, if they could just share it, because if they share the campaign, then the more we can get the word out, we can reach more people, and that will help us to reach our goal. We're determined and positive that we'll get there.
Well, that's fantastic to hear, and thank you very much for being on the Paddock and the Pavilion. I'll keep posting on future podcasts where you are with the campaign. We've got I'm not quite Nick Luck, but we can certainly do our best to help promote you. And don't forget to get in touch with Holly Doyle and Tom Marquand.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, definitely. That will be on my to-do list now for this evening. Thank you.
And thank you for the horse or pony behind you who keeps wanting to get on the show.
I know. That's Reggie. He's trying to get in the action, isn't he, old Reggie?
Oh, he was in the snow today. I saw a...
Yeah, Reggie was in the snow today. And Reggie's raced at Lingfield, actually. Yeah, so he raced in the 138 at Lingfield. So he's actually ride and drive. So he does racing, carriage driving, RDA. He's very versatile.
Oh, it's the first time I've had a horse on the show anyway, so...
And Trigger's snorting now, can you hear
Oh, that's Trigger as well. Right.
Yeah, Trigger's having a snort. Sorry.
Okay, well, thank you very much again anyway.
Thank you. Yeah, and keep in touch. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to The Paddock and the Pavilion. You can download the show on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, Stitcher and Spotify. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at The Pad and Pav.
Sports Social Podcast Network.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code PLAY100. That's code PLAY100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.